everyone. Happy Tuesday. I just want to remind you that we have a short week this week. So we only have core lessons on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday because Friday is a holiday. Usually that means we stay home, but we are always staying home. But what that means is there is no class. So actually this week, our lessons are going to be mostly focused on the essay that we have to do for next week. In the next lesson I'm going to record today, we're going to look at the essay topics, and we're gonna walk you through what you have to do and pick one. Tomorrow we're gonna look at how to put sources inside the body of our essay. And then on Thursday, we will do some grammar. So that is our week. I sent you an email about the schedule. I've had a couple students request that. So hopefully getting a schedule at the beginning of the week will help you kind of organize what we have to do. I'm also looking into doing one online Bongo or Zoom session before our essay is due, so you guys can ask me some questions directly if you have any questions. But I need to figure that out. So I'm going to work on that this week, and hopefully maybe Monday or Tuesday we can have a group session. Okay. But today we just have a short little lesson on the reading. So we are beginning Unit 2, and we are looking at reading number 1. So today for your lesson, you will need your reading book, and you will also need a pen or a pencil. And I was thinking, since all of you are friends in the WhatsApp, you could probably discuss this question together in your WhatsApp group if you want to actually have a group discussion about this. So, okay. So the topic for all of Unit 2 is education around the world, which is actually a pretty interesting topic because when I was traveling, I learned very quickly that education is not the same in every country. In fact, I was a teacher in Japan and in England, and both of those countries have very, very different educational systems than Canada. And I had to learn how to teach in them. Some of the things I noticed in the different countries are in Japan, and this is true for a lot of Asia, high school is very difficult for students. You're all studying for usually some big test that helps you get into a good university, and therefore high school students are stressed. I was an English teacher teaching ESL in Japan, and often I would see high school students come to me for an English lesson after a full day of high school, after they went to cram school, then they did an English lesson, then they went home to eat dinner and do their homework. And I was like, that is crazy. It's so different than here in Canada. Here in Canada, high school is it's school. It is a little bit stressful, but university is much, much more difficult. But in Asia, it seems like it is the opposite. So my question I want to ask you today is, how is the education system in Canada different from the education system in your country? So I want you to think about things like uniforms. I want you to think of things like how difficult it is. I want you to think of things like, do you have private school or public school? The difference of private school and public school is that public school is the government pays for the education. So here in Canada, most of the education is public, meaning almost everybody goes to a school that the government pays for. But many countries, the public school system is not so great and maybe dangerous. And so if you have some money, you pay for your kids. This is also an interesting question for my students who have children. So, how is it different sending your children to school in your own country and then sending your children to school in Canada? So I actually want you to pause right now, and I want you to, if you are not discussing this on WhatsApp, I want you to write down your answer to this. So do a little writing exercise. So pause, do a writing exercise, and then return back here. Okay. Hopefully you did the writing exercise. So, how is the education system in Canada different from the system in your country? The answer to this question is going to be incredibly variable, meaning incredibly different, depending on where you are from. In my past, asking this question to students, I've heard lots of things like, in many places in the world, children and high school students have to wear a uniform. And I, here in Canada, did not have to wear a uniform because I went to a public school. Many people talk about how in their countries they went to private school because public schools, maybe the quality is not so good, or it is not as safe. In many countries, there is a big class difference, meaning rich people go to one kind of school and poor people go to a different kind of school. We don't do that so much here in Canada, though we do organize our school system by your neighborhood. So if you live in a nice neighborhood, you go to a better school. So many people will try and buy a house in a neighborhood in Canada specifically because of the school that is in that neighborhood. So that's an interesting system. And that ends up being like, rich people can afford nice houses in better neighborhoods, and then therefore their kids go to better schools, even though all the schools are supposed to be equal. So this is a very interesting question. Okay, so once you have done that, we're going to take a quick look at page 49. Page 49. So page 49 is where the reading begins, and we're going to do a little preview. Like usual in this book, the previewing is pretty obvious. So the title is Education Around the World, and then we have the picture of a child. I had some students tell me they thought that picture was from Vietnam, because I don't know how they know, but whatever. If you turn the page, there's actually an interesting graph here, and the graph will give us some information. So this tells us like how much money somebody makes depending on their level of education in the United States. So we know we're going to hear a little bit about that topic as well. Okay, so I want you to read from page 49 to page 50. And then I want you to do the activities on page 51 to 53, page 51 to 53. I will put this in the calendar as usual, also in the announcements. Now, what I don't want you to do, I do not want you to do the skill review, because it is about a skill that we have not learned yet. Okay, so that is it for the reading. Just do the reading, do it tonight, fill in your answers, and I will give you the answers tomorrow. Okay, stay tuned for the next video, which will be announcing the essay topics for our big essay assignment. All right, talk to you later. Bye.